For those who are seeing me for the first time, hi, my name is Kaho. I'm the founder of J Advisory. J Advisory is a personal finance academy of helping the middle income families turn around their finances and navigate out of their crisis. So a lot of people ask me what is J stands for. J stands for Jia, which is literally means family. And that's really also my middle name, right? Jia Hao. So started J Advisory in April 14, where I can really relate to the middle income family because I'm one of them. Instead of waiting for people to help me, I decided to take the initiative to actually help other people first, because I went through 3 crises for myself. And why we want to help the middle income family is because many people, especially during a crisis when shit happens, normally the government will extend the assistance to the B40 group first. The rich can help themselves, and the middle income family has always been the last group to be helped. So we especially help 3 groups of people in the middle income families, mainly because they are more motivated and want to help themselves first. So these 3 groups are the entrepreneur, the business owners. The second group is the self-employed, and the third group is actually the C-suite executive, right? Right. So as you all know that when the COVID-19 hit, government actually gave a 6 months moratorium where because businesses couldn't operate, many people will find it very hard to service their loan. So Bank Negara gave instruction to all the banks to actually have sort of like a installment holiday for 6 months. Started in April. Now is September, is ending September. So next week onwards, next month onwards, we probably see a more real effect of what's going to happen when people are having to continue to service their loan, but may not have fully recovered from their financial situation. Why we call it Wealthy Wednesday is because wealthy doesn't have to be just monetary, right? Wealthy can be knowledge, wealthy can be connections, relationship. So that's the intention of Wealthy Wednesday, second episode. So how many of you have heard the announcement this afternoon, or dear PM? Give me a like. Our PM made an announcement on 2:30 PM. And my first thought, I was thinking that he wanted to extend the moratorium or actually announce a lockdown, because I think the situation in Sabah is really, really serious. But actually, the good news is for the B40 and M40, our PM announced a additional stimulus. There's a lot more assistance to, especially the B40, and some assistance to the M40. I read somewhere there is also some grants continuation for SMEs. Somewhere along the lines, the subsidy program for wages is continuing. During the MCO, I actually did share this canvas, which was very useful. It's called Crisis Cashflow Canvas. How many of you actually have benefited or have heard of me saying that? Click like. That is actually a very good canvas where it helps you to give you where you are currently. It helps you to geolocate or give you a understanding of where you are. Because if you want to have a chance of navigating out of this crisis, you first need to know where you are right now financially. That's why we need to identify what is the problem at hand. Because if you notice, should the moratorium, or when the moratorium comes to an end next month, it is essentially like how when we first had the lockdown, and everybody was panicking. We weren't sure what was going to happen. Moratorium was announced, I think, probably 2 weeks after PM announced the lockdown, right? So it's sort of like a deja vu where we're going back to square one. That's why later I'm just going to share with you a little bit on what I've shared previously on Crisis Cashflow Canvas. But I think the problem is very real that if you notice, even during the moratorium, when it was announced, many businesses have closed down, continue to suffer, and some of them actually survive, right? People actually lost their job during the beginning of MCO. I think it was somewhere in June or July when RMCO started, that people actually, or the job employment started recovering, right? So we may see a repeat of that, especially when next month happens, and possibly we will see another crash in the stock market. I think this morning there was somebody telling me that Dow Jones lost 900 points or tumbled 900 points this morning. So with all this situation, right, I just want to equip you guys with this Crisis Cashflow Canvas, which help a lot, not just me, but a lot of my mentees that use this, because we're seeing a repeat of March 18. All right, let me just share with you how to use this, right? If you can see my screen, give me the thumbs up. All right. So essentially, like I mentioned, Crisis Cashflow Canvas is something which we developed, or rather, which I developed, getting an inspiration from my business coach, Jonathan Craig. He basically had this training called Leading in Crisis when the crisis happened in March 18. So he developed this canvas called Crisis Innovation Canvas, which was about how your business can pivot and continue to thrive. So I basically used this concept of the canvas, and then I innovated and made it into a Crisis Cashflow Canvas. So some of the examples that we've helped people, how we actually help a client from having a deficit of 5,008 to turn around into having a surplus of 1,006. So this can only be done through the same process we're going to share with you on Crisis Cashflow Canvas. And you realize that it is the same situation. A lot of people see like, wow, 5,008, very big number, 1,006, very big number. But actually, the process is the same. It's just the difference is just how severe your situation is. So the same tree process, which is you need to know where you are right now, right? Then only you'll be able to know how to get out of the situation. And of course, the third step was to take massive action, right? So let me share with you how this Crisis Cashflow Canvas work, right? So I made it in such a way, it's very simple. It takes 5 minutes to fill up, because generally a lot of people, when they talk about financial, then they hang game or the system hang. So we did it designed in such a way that it's very simple, where previously I shared, as you can see, right, during the MCO, there's 2 columns, a normal and an MCO. Meaning to say that quickly fill up what was your income before the MCO, and after after MCO, what was the income, because a lot of companies actually either they had a salary cut or they should have a salary deferment. Like my company, we actually have a salary deferment. But in this situation, then you realize it's the same format but different heading. This will be MCO, and this will be back to normal, right? So what you want to do is you just continue to fill in your current salary, you know, and after when the moratorium ends, what is it that you expect the salary to be? And in terms of the expenses, naturally, these are the 5 key or 5 items that actually take up or make up the most of the expenses. So what we have is your loans, rental if you're renting, insurance payment, car loan, credit card spending, and personal loan. So credit card spending here is talking about if you actually spend 5,000 a month and you swipe 2,000 in your credit card. So this is the part where you actually put 2,000 here, right? So same thing, what you have been spending in MCO, right? I think we can see that there's a slight increase from the time when it's a complete lockdown to RMCO where people can get out a lot more. And this is the part where you fill up the portion of what you expect to experience after the moratorium ends. So let me give you an example, right? Yep. So this is what we did the example during the MCO, but right now it will be in the reverse order, right? So if you anticipate your current expenses or your income to deteriorate further, so you basically can do an estimation on that. So in this case, this client of mine, he started off with a salary 8,000, then he got to MSO, which he had a deduction of 4,000. So if now that when you're in MSO is 4,000, if you want to do an expectation of how much more that possibly your company may deduct, right? So in terms of rental, during the MCO, there was a deduction of 50%. He actually gave his tenants a deduction. But moving forward, I don't think he can continue to give another deduction. So he will remain 500, right? And that's how he actually have an impact of the difference. And in this expenses example, most likely it will be in the reverse order because before MCO it will be normal. It will be 2,005. He actually pays for a house that he stays in. During MCO, because of the moratorium, it's 0, right? But moving forward, I think what you need to do is you need to put from 0 here to 2,005, just to know the impact where you have a reduced income and expenses which is back to prior to MCO, right? So we're looking at possibly having this type of income, 4,005, and this type of expenses, right? So if you look at this, is 4,005 minus 8,009, roughly having a deficit of 4,005. Now, of course, this is going to be very painful because previously he was having a deficit of 878. Now with the moratorium coming up, is deficit 4,005. As painful as it is, sometimes we have to face the fact, right? Because once we know the fact and know where our situation is, it's a lot easier, or it's a lot more motivating for us to know how much effort or how much anticipation to put in. So for me, I rather know than don't know and sit and constantly being worried. So if you guys can follow me so far, yeah, type CCC. And if you guys want a copy of this workbook, just type in the comment section saying that I want. Yeah, my team will actually reach out to you by sending you this workbook. All right. So once you know that, which is very important, I just want to share with you the solution that many banks have sent out. In fact, I've gotten many banks, and I went through some of it. Right, some of the solution, I think right now, the banking industry, they are very compassionate. They understand fully that many people will continue to face difficulty, just like the client of mine who possibly is having a deficit of 4,005. the first concern for the bank will be how can they manage the increase of NPL. NPL means non-performing loan, right? Because as a bank, you want to make sure that your borrowers can continue to pay you the loan, right? So interestingly, I've ran through a few banks, how they handle the moratorium. They call it a selective moratorium. That means people who constantly be affected by the reduced income and loss of job can apply for the extended moratorium. Some of the banks that I went through is Public Bank, Citibank, RHB. And interestingly, different banks have different processes, right? So let me share with you some of the things that I went through, which is very interesting. So for example, like Citibank, they actually have this assistance where you basically can apply to them saying that you want that extended moratorium. What they did is that, of course, there's a process for you to apply and supported with the relevant documents. So for example, if you have lost your job, they require you to show proof. If you have gotten a pay cut, like 30% or 50%, they need that letter. So once everything is in proper order, I believe this is RHB as well. Yeah, so they will actually get submit the whole case to the approving officer. Once it's approved, the different loan type have different types of arrangements. So for example, like housing loan, some of the best case scenario, if you actually lost your job, some of the banks allow you to extend the moratorium for another 6 months. Of course, if you actually have a pay cut between 30% and 50%, some banks allow the housing loan to be able to allow you just to pay the interest portion, yeah, for 6 months. Interestingly, I went through Public Bank. They're one of the banks that doesn't require you to furnish documents. So for example, if you actually have a pay cut of 30% or you lose your job, you just have to declare and write in, and they will adjust accordingly. Yeah, very interesting for me because you can see the different banks have different processes and different requirements. And how Public Bank does it is that if, let's say, if you completely lose your job, same thing, they will extend the moratorium. If you actually got a pay cut of 25%, then they will actually adjust the repayment for you to just pay 75% of your original installment. And I think the good thing about that is because they don't force you to just pay the interest, they will reduce proportionally for your installment. That means if you understand installment consists of the principal and interest. So when you lose 25% of your income, they will just reduce 25% of the installment so that you still have to pay the 75% installment proportionally. So I think this is something that you need to take note of, especially those of you who have property loan. What you want to do is that actually you need to list down the different properties that you have, which are the banks that you have loaned from, and really take the initiative and the time to go through the different banks, different way of the extension moratorium. And if you are in the same situation like my client who actually have a deficit of 4,500, the key here is about survival, right? Although you will incur extra interest towards the end, but if you can't survive these 6 months, there is no loan to continue to service. So my recommendation here is really to, if you're in the same scenario where your deficit 4,500, is to actually ask for extension of moratorium. Take the time to actually list down the different banks. different processes, which needs documentation, which doesn't, and ask for the moratorium, right? For those of you who have car loan, I think it's a bit more straightforward. For those of you who have personal loan and credit card, you need to go through the same process as how I shared on the property loan, where you need to list down again. They have different banks have different arrangements. So make sure you actually take the time to do it, because we are only left with 1 week, and you really want to do it early so that it gives them time to approve, give the banks time to approve and process your application. Because I foresee there's going to be a lot of applications, right? So you want to make sure that by the time they reach it, they approve it. It's just nice for you to begin your first installment, to actually have the extension of moratorium. All right, any questions so far? Just feel free to share your comments and questions in the comment section. Of course, for the second type of people who actually doesn't have a problem, that means in the scenario just now, you don't have a deficit, but you should have a surplus. You need to remind or to remember to continue to service your loans, especially those who were on the auto debit during these 6 months. You didn't pay. You'll make sure that the auto debit continues to work. If not, you have to manually transfer over, because you wouldn't want the bank to tag you as you missed one payment. Yeah, so it's a good time to relook into your financial and make sure that your finances are back to normal as per before the lockdown, right? Continue to service your debts. During the MCO, actually, some of my students and clients actually asked me, when the Bank Negara was offering the moratorium, even though you're the second type of person who can continue to pay the debts, right? I did advise those of you who can continue to service the loan to continue to take the moratorium, because at the point of time, we didn't really know what's going to happen. And you want to make sure that you conserve cash so that if any difficulty during the 6 months, you have the funds to turn around. So if you are in the situation, right, type 555, because what I want to relate to is, now that you are okay and you have a surplus, and that the moratorium is ending, what you also need to do is to actually take the savings that I asked you to put aside, right, from the moratorium, instead of paying to the bank. At the point in time, I did suggest to have a third option, which is a very creative way to use the installment that you're supposed to pay in the bank, put it into somewhere that actually have a higher interest than FD, right? At the point of time, there wasn't so many OPR cuts yet. So some of my students actually did that. And now that after 6 months, you have this pool of money, the idea here is, because when you take the moratorium, there's going to be additional interest that you're going to pay towards the end of the loan tenure. So now that after the 6 months, what you want to do is to take these funds that you have accumulated, to actually put it into your loan account to try and offset whatever interest that they've been incurring in the last 6 months, right? To sort of minimize that, right? Because from the interest that you have generated earlier in the 6 months, when you put it aside, you should be able to minimize the interest as much as possible. Yeah, just to follow up on that. Hi, Jeevan, how are you? Good to see you. And yeah, at the point of time, some of the students that actually put the money aside, they decided that they want to take advantage of the stock market, because when 18 March hit, the stock, most of the stock price plunged 70%. So that was a good time to actually accumulate some of the good fundamental company, which some of my students actually made money. So in fact, from that money, from the profit, I'm sure you will be able to offset the loan interest that you have incurred in the last 6 months. Some of the testimonial that I've gotten, these are some of the students that actually came to my classes that used the crisis cash flow canvas. You know, I was very happy that I managed to give them a realization. This is an accountant client or student of mine who, because the accountant normally actually spend a lot of time looking at other people's finances, but somehow or other she felt that there's something wrong in her finances, but she didn't have time. So after going through this crisis cash flow canvas, it made her have a realization of going back into her finances and look it up, and eventually she saw the issue which we helped her to actually get out. So we're very happy for her. So for those of you who are very depressed, especially going towards the last week of September, I want you guys to know that when there's a will, really there's a way, you know. So that's why I want you guys to use this crisis cash flow canvas to really face up to the situation, because once you know where you are, there's a high chance that you're able to navigate and turn around your finance, just like the people that we've helped, right? And this is another thing which you need to do, which is a crisis funding canvas. Now that 6 months have passed, either you would have extra asset or actually depleted asset. What you want to do is also to actually do a sort of a recalibration. That means 6 months have passed. There could be difference in all the different accounts that you have, like a savings account, current account, fixed deposit, insurance, cash value, housing loan, flexi account, FCA. You want to total it up and see that how much emergency fund that you have, right? This whole exercise is to be able to calculate how many months that you can survive if you're having a 4,500 deficit, right? Today, I haven't touched up this canvas yet because it's prepared during March. Our PM only announced it today, but I think it's in the range of 1,000 for family under 4,000, and this is something like 800. Yeah, let me check it out. So basically, if you are able to benefit from the funding from the government, you want to fill up this column and also total it up. And of course, the alternative is really the last case scenario. If you're the type that actually managed to survive during the last 6 months without touching this, now probably you can access this, but only as a last resort, because any of this will actually incur additional costs. So for example, like property refinance, right? Borrowing from friends and family is still okay, but right now, since everybody is also cash strapped, this is going to be quite challenging unless you have those relatives who have a lot of funds in fixed deposit, and then the fixed deposit right now is so low that you potentially can get them to loan you the money. Hey, we've got Aaron. Hi, Aaron. And hi, Sabrina. Just saw you yesterday. And in the last 6 months, I also did cover, managed to invite one of the speakers from Funding Society, which is a P2P financing. So that is something that you can look at. The other names that is in P2P will be fantastic. The day I met up with somebody who was from Money Save. Yesterday met the founder of Capital Bay, Cap Bay, Xing Xian. He was sharing on invoice financing. Yeah, so those are some of the financing tools that you can use as a business. Retained earning is if your company continues to generate profit, you can use it. Special relief fund has been fully rolled out already. Of course, as an employee, you can borrow from your friends and family, the banks. You can refinance the property, or you can get a loan from a company. Right. So let me give you an example. Like this client of mine, if he actually have a deficit of 4,500 and he total up having 3,400 for liquid cash, say for example 4,000 from the government, and then he can refinance his property worth 700,000. And then his loan will probably be like 400,000, and he can refinance up to 90%, which is 630,000. So 330 minus 400,000 is he will probably have an excess of 230,000. But over here, he was very prudent. He just want to take out 90. So what we did is, if you total it up, you'll be able to calculate how long can you survive if your deficit 4,005. You basically just use the formula of this is the liquid excess cash. But let's say if you were going to add 90,000 plus 3,004 plus 4,000 divided by the 4,005 deficit, that will translate into the how many months that you'll be able to survive. And that will give you a very good indicator. If you are facing something less, you probably want to seek out professional help. I mean, feel free to PM me. I'm here to help. We've had many successful cases. One of the successful cases that we had was the first student that came in. He had a deficit of 18,000 per month due to property investment. After we looked through his case and we saw that, hey, we can help you save 10,000. So he was very happy, right? So all is not lost. This is what I can assure you. Before that, let me just take a question from the floor, right? Okay, Pete is asking, would enrolling for AKPK assist to control and moderate my repayment? Yes, if you're facing a deficit situation and you feel that your personal loan and credit card is something which you cannot manage, AKPK is an agency set up by Ben Garrett. They are here to help individuals to control and moderate their payment and negotiate with the bank, right? So definitely there are pros and cons with AKPK. Couple of pro will be, before being enrolled to the program, AKPK insists that you go through their counseling and also a simple financial education class, so that if ever they help you with the situation, then next time you shouldn't be repeating the same mistake over and over again. The other advantage of AKPK is that they have the power to negotiate with the bank. So for example, let's say if you're owing the bank 200,000 from 4 different banks, they can actually talk to the 4 different banks, and after looking at your finances, you're only able to pay 500 a month, but the 200,000 installment per month is about 2,000. So they have the power to actually negotiate with the bank to say that, hey, this guy only can commit 500. So what they can do is to lengthen the term of the personal and credit card, but you be stress-free, you don't have the worry that you have to continue to pay 2,000 although you can only afford 500 per month, right? AKPK has that ability. Now, the disadvantage of AKPK, based on my knowledge, is that if you actually ever have a property and you get into the same situation where your personal and credit card is over what you can pay, based on my understanding is that AKPK doesn't help people who have property. And but I actually checked with somebody else who said that it's on a case-to-case basis. So anybody, if you know, do let me know, right? What is the arrangement by AKPK? But we actually have one guy who actually have a property before. In fact, we saw his situation and we decided we decided to help him to avoid AKPK because he actually have a property, and the moment when you enroll to AKPK, they won't blacklist you, but they will put you under a special watch list that will only allow you to take more loans when your current loans have been fully settled. which is a good thing also, because ultimately they don't want you to get into a worse off situation where you continue to take more loans and try to get out of the situation by taking more loans. But it's why we actually help the client who we avoided AKPK is because with proper knowledge and know-how, right? Sometimes we do need to go into another loan by resolving it to pay off the current loan. So give an example, this is a process we do which is called debt consolidation. So if let's say that same person who have a 200,000 credit card and personal loan, right? So one of the things that we do is to actually take all the 4 different banks loan, and we will consolidate into one single loan. Normally, we will put it into a reducing balance loan. In this case, why it will be very helpful for him is because number 1, he's going to pay lesser interest. Number 2, his installment is lesser. And number 3, we'll be able to stretch his normally very short personal loan and credit card to something longer where he can manage it. So for those reasons, that's why it's a case-to-case basis. It's not everybody who has a financial problem needs to go to AKPK. But one thing for sure is that Bank Negara set up AKPK for the purpose and maintain it as a FOC thing, free of charge thing. So you need to know your situation, and at least if you have an overview, then you can actually make a very informed decision whether to go to AKPK or to get external help, because we've seen people that when they get external help, yes, although you have to pay, but they actually get out of the situation much faster than to be enrolled in AKPK. Yeah, hi Maggie. Hi Mei Jie. All right, so if you've got any question, please feel free to comment in the comment section. But at the same time, there's no question, I will continue to move on to the frequently asked questions by my students and mentees. Right, so we've got 15 minutes left, and I just want to cover this frequently asked question. Hi, Maggie. All right. So you've got no question, I've got questions for you, right? Assuming after you've done the crisis cash flow canvas and you find out that you can't survive more than 1 month, so what do? How many of you have this worry? Type 111 into the comment section. So you have this worry. Normally it's caused by 2 things. Number 1 is that you haven't been saving enough, or you haven't been investing consistently previously, or because of this COVID-19, the last 6 months you basically utilize up all your resources, right? Second reason is could be because you lost your job or you have a pay cut. The answer to this question is very simple but not easy. So what I mean by that is that very simple means to say that if you can't survive for more than 1 month, number 1 is you probably have to get some fund from your friends and family, raise it from them, because the banks is going to be very hard to loan from, especially if you don't have a sustainable income. So, but in my mantra is that if you borrow from friends and family, I always make it a point to all my students and my mentees that you must pay back, right? What you can do is that you can talk to some of the friends and relatives who have sufficient savings in their FD, where they're looking to invest somewhere of a higher interest. What you can do for them is to actually offer them, instead of a 2% FD rate, maybe you can offer them a 4% FD rate. Because you know that if the fact that you go to a bank, you probably have to start paying from a 8 to 24% interest, right? So first thing first is to actually raise funds. Second thing you need to do is to actually get income or work for somebody, you know. I mean, that's the easy way out, work for somebody, but it's essentially how you can generate a sustainable source of income for the next 6 months. So why, this is the reason why I say it's simple but not easy, you know, because simple because one is to raise funds, second is to increase income. Everybody also know that in order to plant vegetable, it's also the same few steps, right? But the fact that if when you start planting the seeds, it's not all the vegetable will turn out, right? So there's a certain amount of skill needed, right? If you ever get into the situation, feel free to PM me and leave a message in the comment section below for my team to get in touch with you. Because during the 6 months, we've helped people to increase their income. We've helped people to not really get a job, but to find their strength, because we believe that every person have their own strength and ability, right? Do you believe that by offering yourself what you're good in, there are people that needs this strength to support themselves where they're weak? So do you put yourself in the river where the water flows through you or not? All right. I hope you understand the analogy that I'm sharing. How do I know where should I start reducing? How do I know if I'm overspending or overcommitting? So if you have done the crisis cash flow canvas, it is very normal to ask this question because a lot of people would then find out like how they can reduce so that they can sustain longer, right? Or the other way was how to increase your income. I actually have this class which is called ICEJA. ICEJA is a financial compass 1.0 where we use to find out are you overspending, overcommitting, or over investing, right? So if you like the workbook, type 222 in the comment section. Hey, hi Jacqueline, I didn't see you. Type 222 in the comment section, and then there's a class we actually share with all the students for the past 6 months. Previously, we were giving it for free, but because there are so many gurus out there, I don't intend to become a guru. My intention is really to help turn around you guys. Many people have benefited from it. So the class, we're not going to give it for free, but we're going to charge a minimal amount of 1 ringgit and 97 cents, just for the fun of it. Because really there's a lot of value there, and we want people to really pay attention, because they say that if you get it for free, you don't value, but when you pay for it, you pay your attention for it as well, right? So if you want the workbook, type 222. I'll get my team to actually share the link of the training of teaching you how to actually use that workbook, which I've been using it for the past 12 years. Okay, last question. Should I use my EPF to fund my deficit if I have cash on hand? Normally, if this person were to ask during this time, right, perhaps this person have a surplus, which is a good problem. In our strategy, we would never use EPF unless necessary. You know why? Because EPF is historically giving you about 5 to 6% per annum, and now that FD is all-time low, the 12 months maybe it's like 2%, right? So we will avoid any way to not use EPF for now. So we always use our cash first. Does that make sense? So you really want to make sure that you know your priority. If cash is going to generate you, saving account is at 0.2, FD is at 2%, and then EPF is 6%, which one will you use? You definitely use the saving account one first, right? So this is what I was trying to share with you guys. Can you see my screen right now? Yeah, so just to recap, these are the 3 questions. Right? What if I can't survive for more than 1 month? How do I know where I should start reducing? How do I know if I'm overspending or overcommitting? And lastly, how should I use my EPF fund first to fund my deficit even I have cash on hand? Yeah. So pardon me, because it has been a long day. It's my intention that even though I'm very tired, I want to continue to add value to you guys. So if you have benefited, give me some love, right? Let me just check with my team whether there's any questions so far, right? Because I've answered all the questions with regards to the 10K Challenger group. So we've come to the end of today's session. I hope you guys have benefited from my sharing. This is a constant reminder, although I shared this in March previously, I felt that this is something very important that I need to share again. So I want you to take the time to actually do these 3 things. Number 1 is really about understanding where you are. Do the crisis cash flow canvas, right? Just leave a comment at the comment section by typing CCC. My team will actually send you it for free. How do you like that? Second thing is to actually go through all your lists of loans, be it property loan, credit card loan, personal loan, right? List it down, the different banks, apply for the moratorium extension or any reduction whatsoever. Like I said, the keyword here is about survival. And of course, the third thing is to sign up for the M1 iShare, because that is something very important that will help you to be able to manage your cash flow in a very healthy way moving forward, right? So I wish you guys all the best. Stay safe, stay strong, stay positive, guys. I'll see you next Wednesday where we're going to share with you a very interesting topic. Stay tuned in J Advisory. Peace, y'all.